Okay, so there's something I usually never do here on the old show, and that is give you very specific consumer advice. Today, however, we're doing something different. I'm going to tell you in no uncertain terms that you shouldn't buy anything like this. Instead, you should buy something like this. At least be open to it. Because the case I'm going to make today is that all of you should be better citizens and join in the beautification project of something that we all share on a daily basis, our roads. Before you and I jump into the usual pageantry, perhaps we should look at this episode a bit different. Either it's going to be the largest Volkswagen with an engine we've experienced many times before, or it's going to be the biggest GTI we've ever driven. Either way, I don't know the actual weight of this very car here, because it's not the base SE front-wheel drive, and it's not the SE R-Line all-wheel drive. It's somewhere in between with all-wheel drive. Either way, uphill, and it's an EA 888 4-cylinder turbo, but seems to work unusually well for a car that's over, my guess, 3,700 pounds. So closer to biggest GTI. Okay, so I get it. It's all about practicality. Knowing that, Kumo did a bit of research into this segment that shall not be named and found some options that have similar wheelbases to the Volkswagen we are driving today. Why wheelbase? Because the distance between the front and rear axle is the usability for the passenger compartment. Put another way, that's the practicality. But he went a step further because he knows your girlfriend, your wife, your grandparents are beating you up about cargo capacity. Now, we're not trying to make the case that it's an apples to apples comparison, but if you look at some of the numbers here, it's not as far off as you think. And then another comparison, yeah, the missile's kind of a joke, but look at those tires. Those are the rear tires of an M5. Is all the crap associated with carting rugrats around more than the steamrollers that come off a 600 horsepower sedan? Let us know if we're on point or completely off base in the comments below, or via our social media, MotoManTV all one word, MotoManTV all one word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I can't help but feel like Captain Obvious when I'm discussing steering in Volkswagens, because whether it's a GTI, a GLI, or even a basic Jetta, steering, it just works in these things. Clearly Germans have demonstrated experience, but I don't have much to say here. In fact, the weight is kind of surprising in such a long car. And this is in comfort right now. If I were to switch DCC to Sport, I get more weight in the steering. But what's the most interesting, and I'm sure if you're watching this, you probably read a lot about cars and watch a lot of these videos, and you've heard vague on-center feel. Whether it's in this mode or the comfort mode, there's no vagueness. Without getting too technical here, that's one of the attributes that makes Volkswagens more interesting to me. So some good news as well as some not so readily apparent interesting news. I am a big fan of cars like this. Not that I'm into this class segment or Maximas and Avalons for that matter. Rather the design, the fact that there is this resurgence in beauty of design, meaning 5 doors that are swoopy and somewhat sensual in the way they look, and they're not like 150 grand. This is not the first one, and I feel like it's like a fist in the face of the crossovers in the world, like people are taking back beauty again. But here, I think you would agree with me that this is one of the better looking ones out there. And there's a trick that Klaus Bischoff and his team in Wolfsburg put into this one that most people don't understand. You see, it was ripped off from that back there. That's a C-type Jaguar, and it is stunning, and it is magnificent. But that, as well as other Jags, they really brought to prominence the idea of a clamshell hood. And Klaus and his team did the same thing here, because normally serial production cars have a line like that one or that one, but it's still a clamshell hood design which preserves the cleanliness and the beauty of the front of this vehicle, which is what makes it striking. It's practical, so we have to do the old dance back here. That is where I would sit as 6 foot, and clearly there is more than enough space. And then there's an armrest here, power there, but it's not USB. I know my road wives would get pissed off about that. And then there is this like ski pass-through, because as you know, skiing is the key to life. Well, so is flying. But anyway, ski pass-through here, although there's no ski sack. That's odd in a German car. I would want to see that. Anyway, it still kind of works as an armrest. Overall, nice place to be back here, because it's sizable. Yes, it is indeed that time again to play your favorite game in mind, the options game, with today's contestant, the 2019 Volkswagen, yes, that is how you correctly pronounce it, Volkswagen Arteon 20T SE with 4Motion for a base price of $37,645. To that, we add a very unflattering shade of manganese gray metallic. At least it's no charge. And then we add an equally unflattering shade of black Titan leatherette interior. So you mean to tell me that an almost $38,000 car does not have leather fitted as standard? At least, again, it's no charge. Then we add an 8-speed automatic with 4Motion. That is the Volkswagen lingo of saying automatic transmission with all-wheel drive. Once again, we're batting 1,000 at no charge. Then we add a destination charge of $995 for a total suggested retail price of $38,640. Wait a minute, that's it? There's nothing? There's gotta be a second. Who agreed to this crappy version on the show? Kumo definitely didn't agree to it. Before you and I go back to driving, a word about the importance of color and trim on this specific design. The car you and I are driving, serial number ending 193, is a very unfortunate color combination on an otherwise beautiful design. And I didn't realize how important that was until I saw that a friend of mine was driving the exact same car in the same week that I was. However, hers was the fancy R line that had a little stuff in it, and it's in this very unusual, like, arrest me yellow, goldish, greenish, metallic color that has these cool wheels, and it proves that color and trim can take an existing beautiful design and make it even better. And oh, by the way, do me a favor and give Lynn a lot of crap for bogarting that car that we should have shot together. Oh my God, what a moron. Okay, so as you and I deal with some traffic here, we need to discuss this transmission, because you would think, hey man, it's got a GTI engine and it's a Volkswagen. It definitely has a DSG. I thought that. Well, you and I are both wrong, because it's a Tiptronic. 8-speed, but it's a Tiptronic. So you gotta ask yourself as you get in traffic here, why is this important? Well, there's no paddle shifters. You can't shift here. But here's the thing. In town, dealing with people driving in leased blah white cars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 white cars, it doesn't make a difference. 6 white cars. It has the same drivability. But you can shift gears. Here's the problem with shifting gears. When you take out the 2 clutches of an automated manual and swap it for a torque converter, it takes all the excitement out of it. Like the Greeks would call it thrasas, that like engagement that you would have. It's more about put it in drive and asking yourself the question, wie sagt man das Buick auf Deutsch? So one of the unusual benefits, if you will, of my job is that I've become an unpaid QA tester for most OEMs. In a lot of areas, but as of late, it's been really in this area. And specifically with Volkswagen, I spent a lot of time in different cars with different phones on both sides of the fence, Android Auto as well as Apple CarPlay. And I would argue voice recognition, the screens, the overall integration, they're kind of at the top of the heap, so, great. However, there's one very annoying glitch that happens in every Volkswagen I've had with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, no matter the different device. It's not just this phone. After a couple of days, it doesn't want to recognize the device. And you have to either unplug it, replug it in, restart the phone, restart the car, or read hieroglyphics or some variation of all of that. And then finally, maybe after an hour, it'll re-recognize the phone. And the big thing you gotta understand about this stuff, no matter how much you pay for this phone or this car, these things, this integration at least, is still kind of in beta, so you can't fully expect perfection. But this annoyance, shall we call it, really is the thing that stands in the way of Volkswagen's integration from being kind of at the top in this whole pack of integration with devices that are from Apple as well as Android. Yes, perhaps the wrong car in the wrong place, but we need to do an experiment here. Let's play with that DCC. This is in the comfort mode. I'm getting a bit aggressive, but not particularly fast like we do in that M2, which we took to the same road. Come around here, there's tires squeal, there's some plow on that side. Yeah, something you'd get in a Buick. But let's switch over to sport mode. Santa Maria Madre de Dios, or should I say Vaya con Dios. Push a little harder in here, tire squeal goes away, lean goes away, and that plow comes out of it. Yes, you can absolutely tell it's front wheel drive bias, because really the all-wheel drive is more for inclement weather, things like that. But here it takes a Buick and makes it much more capable than any Electra I've ever driven. Maybe not a huge point in the raging debate between the vehicle class that shall not be named and beauty, but we still have to talk about switchgear. This is a Volkswagen. That means it has real buttons, real knobs. It's tactile feedback that's not only safer than 100% haptic feedback, but also reassures not just your brain, but your checkbook that you've made a prudent, almost $40,000 decision. Here's an open letter to practical people from someone who is not practical. Please, for the love of God, of anything that is all good and holy, when you go to think about purchasing a practical vehicle, just get off the SUV crack just for a little bit, at least humor me, and go and look at something like this. It's pretty, it's attractive, it's more efficient than that SUV or crossover you will buy. It is cheaper to insure, and frankly, it's different. And it's got utility as much as that stupid crossover that you want. Please, oh please, just consider my request.